Welcome to the Blogger Genius Podcast, brought to you by MiloTree. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Before I begin, I want to invite you to head over to Facebook and join my Facebook group called the MiloTree Mastermind Group. If you want to be part of a community of like-minded entrepreneurs and bloggers, please come over and join. I'm in there all the time. I'm doing Facebook Lives. And for something new, I'm going to have David, my husband, partner, and incredible technologist in there with me, and he's going to answer any technical questions you have about blogging, like WordPress or site speed, those kinds of things. Please email me your questions to Jillian@milotree.com, and we will be answering them in the Facebook group. So do go join the Facebook group, MiloTree Mastermind. Okay, for today's episode, I have my good friend Kari-Ann Wood on the show. She is the blogger behind Thistlewood Farms. She was a previous guest. Today, we are talking all things sponsored posts. Now, Kari-Ann works with over 50 brands a year, and she has such a unique perspective on working with brands and how to cultivate those relationships. For Kari-Ann, it's all about the win-win. It's all about being there to serve the brand in the way in which they need it. She's a master. So without further delay, here is my interview with Kari-Ann Wood. Kari-Ann, welcome back to the show for the second time.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
So we did our first podcast episode talking about you as a writer, as a blogger, but that you had written a whole host of books. Today, though, we're going to talk about something completely different, which is working with brands.
Yes, one of my favorite topics on the planet.
Okay, and we just reconnected at a kind of blogger mastermind in Round Top, Texas, and it was so fun connecting with you again, because I feel like I knew you, but I didn't really know you. And I feel like there are these things in the blogging world when you just meet a fellow blogger and you connect and you know you will be friends for life. And Kari-Ann, I feel that way about you. I truly do.
Right back at you, Jillian. Right back at you.
And we spent a lot of time talking about the Enneagram,
yes,
which for people who don't know is a personality typing test. And I'm a 6 and you're a 7. So you can go look that up. And in fact, I was thinking of doing a whole podcast episode about the Enneagram because I think it's so powerful.
And if people don't know it, they should immediately run out and get the book and read up, because it is probably one of the best life tools that you can have to help figure other people out and how you kind of fit in with the other people.
Yeah, so if you want to Google it right now, it's ENNEAGRAM. And then I will do a separate podcast where we just talk about the Enneagram, because for me, it has been like the best tool for my marriage.
Yes, 100%. I agree, 100%.
Okay, so let's dive in, because Kari-Ann, you did a whole session about working with brands. Now, how many sponsored posts would you say you do a year?
So sponsored posts, I'm not sure of the exact number, but last year and this year we're on target to work with more, but last year we worked with 58 different brands on the blog in a variety of ways. And that doesn't always mean a sponsored post. There are other ways of working with brands that are equally as successful. It's just finding out what the best fit for that brand is.
Right. Okay. And Kari-Ann, would you call yourself an interior design blogger or a DIY blogger?
I'm kind of a storyteller / find stuff by the side of the road / paint your dining room blue type.
Yes,
blog.
Exactly. And you can see her wall, which she has painted blue, which we were talking about before we pressed record. Yes. Okay. So your typical brand might be, say, like a paint company or a furniture manufacturer or a floor manufacturer. Would you say that's kind of your sweet spot?
And I work with all different spectrums. So I work with Sherwin-Williams, and I just worked with them on the color of the year, which this is navel, beautiful, beautiful navel. Amazing blue if anyone's looking for a blue. I'm also a brand ambassador for Home Talk, which is an online kind of community for different DIYers. I am a brand ambassador for Jeffrey Court, which is like a tiling company. I'm a brand ambassador for Oh gosh, for Lamps Plus, which is an online furniture company, and they also have stores nationwide. So yeah, it kind of runs the gamut, but most of them are all tied back to home decor.
Got it. Okay. So what I was really impressed with is the way that you approach brands, the way you work with your brands, the way you continue to like nurture the relationship even after, let's say, the first project is done. So could you tell us about your philosophy? Because I think it is so refreshing.
First of all, let's back up for just one tiny sec, because I think that there's an important concept. A lot of times I have bloggers ask me, well, when is the right time to start working with brands?
Mm-hmm.
And I always say to them, you have something so amazingly valuable in your hands right now. You have a target audience that is the exact fit. So if you're a home decor blogger, you have a target audience that is the exact fit for a home decor company. It's almost like taking an arrow and aiming it at the heart of that market.
Of their audience, of their perfect customer.
Exactly. They're the people that they are trying to reach. So for example, if you do a radio ad, you have a myriad of different people in the audience. If you do a television ad, even if you're on HGTV or even a home decor network, chances are that you're going to have some people that are watching that maybe they just flip through the channels or whatever. But in a blog, people are coming to that blog for the specific purpose of learning more about home decor. So I think that that is such a valuable commodity, and you don't want to lose sight of that when you're talking to these brands. Because let's say, I always tell people this, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. If I had 1,000 loyal readers, like 1,000, I have many more than that. But if I only had 1,000 loyal readers, I could rule the world.
I love that. Go ahead.
Because at the end of the day, we are more than bloggers. We are actually influencers, and we are here to influence other people's buying decisions. And that's what the marketable part of it is. It's not really so much how many numbers you have or how big your blog is. It's more the quality of your projects that you have. It's more about, can you translate talking about a brand and influencing others' buying decisions? And I think that's in this conversation, that's really where our foundation is.
And wouldn't you really say it is your relationship with your audience? That's what you're selling. It's, yes, you do beautiful projects and all that stuff, but it's Kari Ann. People know who you are. People trust what you say. People want to emulate what you do. And therefore, you know what? You're the best friend who says, go, we all want those shortcuts. We all want somebody to go buy this. And you're that person to these people.
Well, and I'm so extraordinarily blessed in that I have literally the most amazing readers on the planet. I'm not kidding you. We have been friends for 7 years now, and some people have been reading faithfully from the first time I put a blog post up, and they are still reading. And every time I meet someone that reads my blog, we are instantly BFFs because we have a connection. We all like kind of the same stuff. We like we like yard sales, we like bargain finds, we like navy paint, we like, just talking about our houses, but we also love our families, and we love, talking about just everyday things in this world. And this amazing, incredible group, this community, it's a responsibility that I take very, very seriously. So I don't ever work with a brand if I don't feel like it's a fit for the audience, or I don't feel like that it's going to give some benefit to the audience. I don't work with them.
Right. So you're not so that they trust you. If you're going to stand behind that navy wall and say, buy this, you mean that.
Exactly. 100%.
Okay. So now, you've got your community, and you've got and even for smaller bloggers to recognize you've got something really special that a brand wants.
Yes, 100%. So now the next step is you're like, well, how do you work with brands? And I think that there are many different ways that you can start that relationship. You can connect with them on social media. When I very first started, so I left Haven, which is a blogging conference. I left there, and I was not working with any brands at the time. And I thought, okay, I am ready to step it up. I'm ready to monetize this thing. And although I didn't even know the word monetize.
Right.
That's a fancy word that came later, but I'm not ready to make some money. And so I targeted 5 brands that I really wanted to work with, that I thought were amazing. And I kind of went after those brands like the football player that, wanted to ask you to homecoming. Like I hung out by their locker after fifth period, and I made sure that they knew what the mums were, and I made sure that I casually would work into conversation when the football game was, I courted them is a good way of saying that. And so I reached out to them on social media, and I made sure to educate myself on those brands.
This is what I love. Okay. Yes.
So I went and in other words, if I want to work with them, wouldn't I want to know about them? So I researched what their newest products were. Mm-hmm. I researched what their most important products were. I researched campaigns that they had done in the past, and things that I thought really would resonate with my readers. And then I just there was like this honeymoon period where I just reached out to them, and they would kind of share me on social media, and we back and forth. And then I decided I was going to pitch them. So I pitched after the kind of this period of really getting to know them better. I pitched 5 of them. Okay. So of the 5, how many do you think worked with me?
3.
No.
More? 4. Really? Okay. So this is at Haven. You did this. So
after I came home from Haven.
Okay. So you met these brands in person at a conference, which is why I always say, do go to conferences.
Yes, 100%.
Do. Because you meet people like other bloggers, you hear what's going on, and you get your face in front of brands, and you get those you get people's, get their business cards, because then you have their direct email. Yes. So you went home and you said, okay, I'm going to now research this brand. And then what? You went back to the brand, and what did you say?
So I pitched them. So I pitched 5 of them. And I always, when you're pitching brands, this is what I say. I say, lead with about them. Everybody wants to know about them. So instead of saying, hi, I'm Carianne, and I have this many page views, and I'm doing this, and blah, 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 and how great I am, and I've done this. And then I made it all about them.
Yes.
So I said, hello. And one of the most amazing brands that I first reached out to was a brand called Frog Tape, which is, and I still work with them to this day. They're an incredible, amazing brand. So all these years later, I'm still working with them, and I reached out to them and I demonstrated knowledge. Like Frog Tape is amazing because it has, when you peel it off, there's that perfect paint line. And I knew that they had different types of tapes, and it wasn't just one type of Frog Tape. There was, delicate surfaces tape, and there's all these different types of Frog Tape. And I knew what they had done in marketing in the past, and I demonstrated all of that in this pitch letter. And then I closed the pitch letter with saying, by the way, I have this amazing, and I took all of my social media, I took all of my Facebook and Pinterest, and, which at the time it was a small little number. Right. And I think maybe it was maybe 3,000, everybody all in, Pinterest, Facebook. Well, Instagram wasn't even around then, and it was the blog and my email list and anyone that I could add to that. And I said, I have 3,000 loyal followers, and they would like to hear more about your product. And then I pitched them a very specific idea, because a lot of times people write pitch letters, and the pitch letters say something like, hey, it would be great to work
with you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What does that mean?
Yep.
And people don't have a lot of time to they don't have a lot of time to waste in their day. Everyone's very busy. And so just a random email, I'd like to work with you. No, it was a very specific project. And by the way, and I demonstrated knowledge. I saw that you did this project with another blogger, and I think this is a great way to expand it. And I pitched them, actually the project that I pitched them was taping off your front porch steps to make it look like a faux runner, kind of going down your concrete porch, which met all of the criteria that they were trying to promote with their brand. I used the delicate surfaces, so I could you could really see the individual. It worked very, very well on the steps. It was an incredible thing, and the project went viral. And then I worked very, very hard to make the project go viral. And along the way, I helped to educate them, oh my gosh, this project's going viral. Oh my gosh, more people are pinning it. And I kept them up to date.
Okay. Yes. So
over the time period of the post. I didn't just post and walk away.
No, okay. So you post, and did you think to yourself, I think this could go viral, or it started to go viral? Did you put Facebook, did you put money behind promoting it?
I didn't put any money, although if I was brilliant, I should have, but I was not that smart at the time. Again, I didn't even know the word monetize. So I literally, what I did was I just kept referring to it in posts. So I'd say I love clever projects. In a new post, I'd say I really love clever projects, and I would link back to that post. I just kept promoting it, and I would repin it, and I pinned it to group boards, and the project took steam, and it created this kind of buzz around this project. And then it got picked up and it was on other blogs. And every time it was on another blog, I would send them, hey, by the way, this project just got picked up and it's on another blog now. Or, oh, so-and-so picked it up, it's on their Facebook page. I worked as my own little mini PR agency.
That's what I was going to say, which is what's so brilliant about what you're saying is you're making the person at the PR company, because remember, most brands have a PR company, and your job is to make that PR associate, like kind of that lower level PR person who's doing the grunt work, who's like interacting with you, finding, all that stuff. You want to make them look good. So as soon as you send that email saying, oh my God, this is going viral, you better believe that email is being forwarded to that PR person's boss, and
Yes.
hopefully being forwarded to their boss, and then being forwarded to the brand, because you're just like laying it up for them.
Well, and you should never lose sight of the fact that you have different, for better term, bosses in this. So number one, you have your audience. So you want to make sure that the project is actually of value. You want to something that even if it wasn't a sponsored post, that they would see value in it. Because if there's value in the post,
Right.
you're not just doing it for a brand. Like that
Right.
never works.
Right.
So you provide value to your readers, and then you're also providing value to that PR company, which then in turn they demonstrate how you can provide value to the brand, and then everybody wins.
Yes.
And then the post goes viral and gets you more page views. So it's like this cyclical thing that it's just a win-win. But I think the biggest tip I could give is that no one is going to tell the brand. In other words, the brand might have missed that it was on those blogs, or the brand might have missed that it was featured over on these websites, or the brand might have missed that it got pinned so many times on Pinterest. It's your job
Yes.
as an influencer and as your owner of your own small company to let the brand know about that, because then you've kind of proved your worth. You have more street credit. Next time when you want to go back and pitch them again, then they're usually ears open, because you've demonstrated that you're successful at what you do.
Now, how do you then turn that one-off post or that one-off assignment, let's say, into continual work? Because every time you work with a new brand, it's like a new relationship, and you have to kind of invest in it. Like, how do you build that goodwill so that brand is saying, hey, Kari-Ann, we want to work with you?
I think there's a couple of things. I think number one, you need to, I know this is going to be hello Captain Obvious, but you actually need to answer your emails. So
okay.
Bloggers are notorious for being very poor communicators sometimes.
Yes.
A brand will email them and they don't respond immediately. Like, I have a reputation that if you email me, it's pretty much within an hour or two that I'm going to email you back with a response. And brands love that, because they're on deadlines and they want to know that they can count on you, because when they book you, they're actually taking a leap of faith. Like,
totally.
Are you going to actually come through and do the project for them?
Totally. So, and by the way, you're signaling to the brand, I'm responsible, I'm responsive, yes. I'm going to get back to you. I'm not going to flake on this.
And you're signaling to them that you're respecting them, and that you respect their time, and that you're appreciative of this opportunity. And so typically I can pretty much tell, now that I've done this for a while, if a brand is going to kind of be a one-off. And sometimes that is what it is, and you just have to accept that this is kind of a one-off, and I charge accordingly. So if it's just a one-off without the potential for a future relationship, of course I'm going to charge that brand more, because the more, it's just like anything, the more, like a bulk discount,
Absolutely.
The more blog posts you book, then the less cost there is per blog post.
Totally.
So, but you have to kind of size it up, because the more you start working with brands, you don't want to waste too much time if you know that brand, there's not potential. But if I sense that there's potential for that brand, and I sense that, oh my gosh, there is like amazing opportunity here, then I follow up with them. I pitch them sometimes a series, like, okay, let's do a series of different things. Like, I'll say, let's do an entire campaign that involves like a Pinterest campaign, that involves a Facebook campaign, an Instagram campaign, as well as a blog campaign. So I look at it from a different perspective. Rather than just only utilizing the blog, I expand and work out with all of my social to help them promote their products.
And are brands coming to you today saying, I just want Instagram?
There are a few brands that do that. And I think if I was only an Instagrammer, probably the majority of my brands would just be Instagram, only be interested in an Instagram campaign. I have seen an uptick for sure in that more brands are interested in the whole Instagram component that wasn't present so much 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that there's a way to, I think because the key about Instagram is it's such an engaged community.
Right.
That especially if you have the swipe up on your Instagram, brands love that they see the immediate you're swiping up, you can see how many times people swiped up, and it's an immediate metric.
Right.
What's going on with their campaign. And
Right.
whereas a blogging campaign, a little bit, you can definitely see how many page views, you can send them how many times, how many unique visitors you had, all of that. But Instagram is so engaged.
Imagine growing your Instagram followers with no work. Highly engaged followers. Now imagine it with Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube. How about new email subscribers? Seriously, no work. This is all possible if you install the MiloTree pop-up on your blog. David, my husband, and I started our blog, Catch My Party, in 2009. We've since grown it into the largest party ideas site on the web with millions of page views per month. We did it with hard work and our secret weapon, our MiloTree pop-up, which David built for us. We've grown our Pinterest followers to over 1.3 million and our Instagram followers to over 164,000. And right now, 8,000 other bloggers just like you are using MiloTree to grow their businesses. With MiloTree, you can focus on growing one platform or switch between several. But here is the important thing. If you aren't converting your visitors into followers, subscribers, and customers, you're honestly wasting your own traffic. Make this asset, your visitors, work for you. Since we're bloggers, we get bloggers. So we've optimized MiloTree like crazy. It's a snap to install. It won't slow your site down. It's Google friendly on mobile, and it's so darn cute. You can even add animated sparkles to your pop-up if you like. Sign up now and get your first 30 days for free. Please pause this episode and head to milotree.com to sign up. I know you will thank me. As a bonus, once you sign up, I'm going to send you weekly actionable business tips to help you grow your business. I've been at this a long time and I have a lot to share. Remember, your scarcest resource is not money, it's time. So let MiloTree free up time for you so you can focus on the other important parts of your business. So what are you waiting for? Hit pause, head to MiloTree, and sign up today. You do not have a rate card that you send brands. Could you, because again, that is amazing because everybody I think thinks, I got to put together a rate card, which is like, these are my metrics and it all looks really pretty and it's a beautiful PDF and it talks about your pricing and then you're always updating it. What do you do?
I think I don't have a rate card because I think that that's a close to a conversation. I think that, a brand contacts me and they say, do you have a rate card? And let's follow the logic. If I send them a rate card and they look at the rate card and they're not happy with the rate card, or they're like, oh, this wasn't what we were looking for, then then the conversation ends.
Okay.
And I feel like I bring so much more to the table than a rate card. I mean, I have great numbers. I have great brands that I've worked with before. I stand behind my blog. I would put my blog up with anyone's blog. I believe in it. It's not that I don't have a rate card because I'm ashamed of it or because I don't want to.
Or because you're lazy to put it together.
No. I do it because I want to have a conversation with the brand.
I love that.
The key is every brand has a different metric that they're looking for from their campaign. So for example, some brands are only looking for page views to their website. Some brands are only looking for an amazing, beautiful project that they could put on their social media. Some brands are only looking for photography that they could use and put into, different things that they're
like
working
promotions and things, right?
Yeah, okay. Promotions that they have.
Yep.
Every brand, their metrics that they're looking for are complete. Sometimes they just want brand awareness. Sometimes they want to send people to their Instagram. Sometimes they want to get people to sign up for their newsletter. Like every metric is different. And so sending them a rate card doesn't really address that metric. So I try to always, when I talk to a brand, my first question always is, what would make this a successful campaign for you?
Love that. So some brand says to you, hey, we've got this possibility, we want to work with you. Send us your rate card. And you email back, and what does it say?
And I say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited and full of joy. And I immediately demonstrate knowledge of something. I go run over their website and I say, oh my gosh, I love your new shag carpeting that you just got in. I think it's incredible. And I love how, oh my gosh, I've heard kind of a lot of buzz about this product. It's amazing. Whatever it is, I immediately demonstrate knowledge and say, I would love to put together a whole campaign for you. And what are your metrics? What are you looking for? And by the way, do you have time to hop on a quick phone call?
Ooh, okay. So you're not even saying this is how big I am, or let me tell you about me. You're not there yet.
No. If they ask for it, like specifically if they say, I mean, I have my numbers. So I have a page with numbers on it. And mostly I do that for street credit. Like, okay, because sometimes I don't want them to think that I'm not sharing numbers because I'm embarrassed.
Okay.
I'm not sharing numbers because I don't really want that to be part of the conversation.
So is that like a link though, that if you, would you put that into that first email and say,
only if they pressed me.
Okay. Otherwise, no.
I try to not do it unless they press me for it, unless they say, no, we really want it. No, we're really not interested in all this fancy metric talk that you're going to like. I try to always, that's what I lead with. I lead with more about them, and I lead with more about what their metrics are and less about me, because truth, I cannot stress this enough. I know I sound like a broken record, but I have been on campaigns with people that had 2 million page views, and I have sent them more traffic with my page views that I have because the readers that I have are engaged and they are sincerely interested, and I have their trust. And so that is so much more marketable than a page view. And I think that sometimes bloggers fall back on, especially bigger bloggers fall back on the page view as if that's going to solve everything. But I feel like you're only letting the brand down then, because
absolutely,
if it's a product that your readers are not going to be interested, you're doing a disservice to that brand. So I think that's why it's important. And I have walked away from campaigns. If they've said to me, I can't think of something, but if they said, well, we really want you to do this, or we really want you to do this, I can't think of a specific example, but I'm like, oh, my readers are not going to go for that. They are not going to be up for that. And I have literally walked away. Or if it's a product that is not going to be a fit, then I kind of walk away, because it's low-hanging fruit. There's so many more things to be achieved from your blog that are not that low-hanging fruit. And I'm not here. I'm here for the tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. I'm not just here for what's going on today.
I love that. Now tell me, okay, so then now you've gone back and forth and you've come up with, we want, this many story posts, and we want a blog post and this many story posts, segments, and this many posts in your feed and a Pinterest pin and whatever. And you've agreed to that. And then you deliver, and they're happy. And then how do you keep that going? Like, so how quickly are you getting back to them and like pitching them new ideas and stuff like that?
So what I do is let's say we agree on everything, and the blog post goes live, and social media all goes live. And then I present them after about 2 weeks. I typically present them with a report on all the numbers and what everything looks like. And I said, let me circle back with you in about a month, and we'll just see how everything's going then. And I kind of do a final wrap-up call or a wrap-up email with them, usually about 30 days out. And at that point, when I have proven the successful campaign and the successful metrics, and I have met what they were looking for, and I'm sure in that report to address the metrics that they specifically were highlighting. And then I go back, and I typically then will do an ask for another campaign. And I usually don't try to pitch brand ambassador or doing something like that until I've done about 2 or 3 campaigns. I don't go straight from one off to a brand ambassador, but I never let the conversation close without pitching something else, because I'll say, hey, would you guys have any fall plans? And I always have an idea. I always lead. I don't just pitch and say, hey, it would be fun to work together again. I always lead with a specific pitch. Like, by the way, we're working on our bedroom upstairs, and we're going to be painting the plywood subfloor. Does this seem like something you want to get behind? Because this would be an amazing project, and I know it's going to do really well on Pinterest. Does this seem like something you could get on board with? And I would say on that statement, I'd say I probably have 75% of them read. If it's been a successful campaign with metrics that have been proven, I'd say about 75% typically rebook. They don't immediately rebook at that moment, but they say yes, and I put in a tickler file and contact them whenever the next time that we want to work together is.
That's amazing. Okay, now how do you do this though? I know you work with your husband, like I work with my husband. Yeah. If you are working with 50 brands in a year, that's the one thing about sponsored content is it's harder to scale, because you're now faced with a new project. Like every single time, you're starting at the bottom of the hill, and having to climb up the hill? Like what in your systems, or how do you think about ways that you can scale that to make it easier for you so you're not always back at square one, or maybe you are back at square one?
No, I think the easiest thing sometimes is to batch it. So for example, if you have a room and the room has different elements in it and different projects in it, then, so for example, I'll give you a perfect example of this. So I have a fence that's in the backyard that needed painting. So let's talk through the elements. So for that, I would maybe work with a potential sponsor on the paint that we would use for the fence. I would maybe work with a potential sponsor on maybe the application of how we were applying the paint to the fence. I would work.
You mean like brushes or something like
that?
Yes,
or like a paint sprayer or something like that. I could also work with a hardware company on how to attach hardware to my gate or something like that. I could work with a potential like outdoor lawn equipment to showcase like doing the flower beds around the newly painted fence. So when we look at it from that perspective, every project has, and I'm not saying all of them would go for the same project, but a lot of times it's easier, and readers love it when you show step-by-steps along the way. So you're like, oh my gosh, here I painted my fence. Oh my gosh, here's how I'm painting my fence. Oh my gosh, here's how I am attaching hardware to it. Oh, now here's my finished painted fence with beautiful landscaping. Like it's almost like building, and people go, oh, I love that. And every time when you're linking old posts to each other, Google's like loving you because you're
yes.
And one of the best examples of this is when I painted my concrete front porch. I mean, well, it's brick, but the top part's concrete and the bottom is brick. And I painted that. And I was going to do it anyway. Like most of my projects I do, I'm already going to do the projects because I'm by nature a DIYer. Am I
right?
I've been doing projects for my whole life. Like
now you can get paid for it. Yes, totally.
So it's not like I was sitting at my house not doing any projects and I go, gosh, I better do some projects for the blog. No, I'm like my whole life. I finish one, I'm doing another, and I'm doing another, and I'm doing another. And so, we're about to start building a garage in the back of the, in the backyard back here. And so always, I just think life is boring if you don't have a good DIY project going. So which maybe, I don't know, some people might not like that, but I am all about it. So I always have a project, and I'm always figuring out how to fit a brand typically into that project.
I love that. Okay. So, and brands are cool with this. Like if you say, I'm doing this whole thing, like, do they know that you're also doing the hardware with another brand or something like that? I mean, I know you'll do that one post for like the paint.
Yes, it depends on the time frame. I mean, if I do them all within like, a couple weeks of each other, I would always disclose to other brands like, hey, I'm working. But if they're kind of disjointed, like if I'm doing this one post, I probably wouldn't call up one company and say, oh, by the way, I'm using this, because it's part of my house. It's my environment. So, I definitely might reference it in the post, but I probably would not call them and let them know. I mean, I try to never, the one thing about brands is I try to never work with the same brand. So I have been all Sherwin-Williams before I started the blog. I love Sherwin-Williams. I think they are the best paint on the planet, but I don't work with another
paint brand. Got it.
I don't confuse people, because if I'm all on Sherwin-Williams, why would I be all about another paint company another day? So I kind of get I'm all in on Frog Tape. I'm not in on their competitors. Like I try not to mix up if I go with one mattress, I try to stay with that mattress. If I go with one appliance company, I try to stay. I pretty much find a brand that I like and I continue to work with them. I think the confusing part comes in when you mix the different, and a lot of brands have non-compete clauses that you have to sign in their contracts, and you can't do it anyway. And I just think it's good business practice, because I am all in on Sherwin-Williams, and I literally was painting rooms in 2000 before I even wrote a blog, all Sherwin-Williams. Like one of my party tricks is I would go to a party and I would people would say, what's a good khaki? And I'd be like, Sherwin-Williams sandbar. And they'd say, what's a good gray? Sherwin-Williams mindful gray. It was like a party game to me.
Totally. That is great. So what I will say, what is really, I think, super cool about how you approach your business is it is so intentional. You will step back, you will assess the brands and look at what they're working on, and you will align yourself organically, authentically with them. You will think about your house in terms of projects and how could you, work with multiple brands on this one project. Like there's so much intention, and you're not reactive.
Yes.
You are proactive in everything you're doing with brands. And then can you talk about your newsletter? Because I think that's brilliant too, which is how you structure your newsletter so that these sponsored posts are going live in your newsletter, but they get like 2 hits.
Yes, yes. Okay, that's actually a great tip. So in my newsletter, the way I have it structured.
And you send how many newsletters a week?
So I send 5 newsletters a week.
Love it.
And so I send the first newsletter, so the project goes live on the blog. And I send it at the top I send it the project with probably just a snippet. And I typically try to provide before pictures because people are much more likely to click. They love a good before picture. And so that goes true on Instagram stories as well. Anything that's kind of the before, people are like, oh my gosh, like I
have to see the after. So you're hiding the after.
Yes. So I'll show the before with a snippet of whatever the blog post is, which typically is very conversational. My blog is very conversational. And then I'll say, to see the rest of the project, click here. And then right below that is a post from earlier in the week. And then right below that, so let's say I'm doing a paint post, the post below that will be like something else from the blog that week. But then below that, there's 2 other paint posts. Especially if I work with that brand, I'll put 2 old posts for that brand in there. So that basically the 3 of the posts in that one newsletter are all devoted to that brand. Yeah. Then the next day I bump that brand's post down to just the picture with a link. And then I put whatever the current content is. So the brand is basically being sent out in the newsletter 4 to 5 times for that one project. And again, that's of value to them. But I go back to this. They don't know it's a value unless you demonstrate it to them.
And so will you then forward those newsletters to them and go, hey, check it out. You're in my newsletter today. Oh, the next day, I loved your project so much. I wanted to feature it again. Here, take a look. Yeah. It's in my newsletter again.
Yes. Another thing along the lines of newsletter. So I am super blessed in that I get these amazing comments on the blog. Like people, I love them. They are the cutest and the best. And I'm always emailing them back like, you're the greatest. And they're like, no, you're the greatest. I'm like, let's be the great together, we're the greatest people together. And so especially if someone is highly complimentary of the brand, I always forward those comments to the brand. So I'm like, oh my gosh, readers, look, I've gotten over 100 comments on this post. Wow. And in my report, a lot of times, sometimes if it's super clever, I will forward that immediately because I just think it's so cute. And my comments come in an email, so it's just a 5-second click to just send it to them. But in my report that I give them, I also take those comments and I put them, just the best ones that are in there, maybe 4 or 5 of them, because again, they're sending this to their boss. And so there's no better way to demonstrate that you're influencing someone's buying decision than by having them actually leave a comment on a post.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So for example, for this dining room that I did, I think there was over 120 comments on this dining room, and people were like, oh my gosh, Carianne, how did you do this? And what did you do? And what goes with navel? What paint colors would you recommend? And what was your finish? And, all these, well, of course I forwarded them, and sometimes the readers will answer each other. It's almost like a forum. Like they'll go and answer each other, and because they know each other, and they'll chat it up in the comments, which then the brand loves that too.
Oh my God. Okay. Carianne, you're like, this is just so what again, and then the one other thing you shared is if you're, let's say on Instagram and you're seeing that a brand is working with a bunch of people in your space, that might give you the idea that brand is in the process of reaching out to bloggers. And that's a good signal.
For sure. I think that's part of just being part of our community. I mean, I think we are, we're immersed in this blogging community and this Instagram community. And I'm a 7, remember? On the Instagram, for those of you who don't know.
Exactly.
Enthusiast.
So you're out there. Yes, totally. Yes.
So I never met probably another blogger, another Instagram that I did not absolutely adore. And so I am very present, I think, on both of those platforms. And so just in my travels, sometimes I'll notice, oh, so-and-so is working with this company. And I'm like, wait. And so I'll contact that brand and say, by the way, I have this amazing project and I'd love to work together. And the brand will say, oh my gosh, you have perfect timing. And I'm like, I know, right?
Exactly. But I think, again, that's so strategic. And I am a big believer like you, which is we're not in competition with the people in our space, because we all do it differently and there is room. And maybe that brand is, their budget's done. Who knows? But maybe because you said, you've now looked at that brand and you see what they're looking for, you can serve up to them how to continue their work with bloggers. You can build on top of what other bloggers have done.
100%. I also think another tip too, speaking of Instagram, a lot of times I'll get even a private message months later, and someone will say to me, remember when you did that project, and we'll use the dining room. Remember when you did that project where you painted the dining room? What color did you use? Well, I respond, of course, Sherwin-Williams Naval. And then I screenshot that and send it to Sherwin-Williams and say, oh my gosh, it's 6 months later and the color is still living large. So I think that sometimes it's just kind of reversing your thoughts into how can you prove your street credit to the brand? And people probably have stuff like this all the time, but it goes by and they don't think about circling back, because again, it's you going, hey guys, Karianne here. Hey guys, Karianne. Hey, but with value, not Karianne is needy. Karianne needs a paycheck. It's Karianne helping your brand. Here I am, Karianne helping your brand. I think if there's one thing that I could, really communicate to brands and communicate to bloggers about working with brands is you want to, it's not like you are lucky to be working with that brand, but that brand is also extraordinarily lucky to be working with you. You're amazing. And the things that you are bringing to the thing that you're bringing to the table and the thing that you are bringing to that brand is something, it goes back to that very first conversation that we had on this podcast, which is that arrow straight to the heart of their market. And never undervalue that, or never let yourself feel small, and know your worth when you are talking to a brand, because you, my friend, are amazing. You are incredible. And just because you don't have XYZ numbers or you don't have this, that in no way diminishes your ability to communicate the benefits of this product to your readers. It's just you have to communicate that you have adequately demonstrated the benefits of the product to your readers, to that brand. So, and that might be a private message to them. That might be an email back. I remember when I was very first starting out, anytime I emailed anyone, the poor brand, I was like, and look, now I'm answering another email for you. And another email. It was probably too much in fairness for that sweet little brand. But what I was trying to do was just demonstrate, look, I'm here speaking on your behalf and telling people how incredible you are. Let's not diminish that. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's so important that we lose sight of that. It's kind of like we just look at, sometimes people just say, oh, well, there's a brand and they're paying me and I'm working with them and that's the end. And I'm like, oh my gosh, first of all, treat that with respect and honor that, and your readers will honor you and the brand will honor you back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, now let's talk pricing. Because again, this is, I'm sure, what everybody is thinking. So let's say I'm not as big as you, and I have that targeted audience. I have that arrow, boom. But it's like when you were starting out and you could reach 3,000 people or whatever. But how do you make this work for you so you're not doing slave labor? So you're not when you figure out how much you're getting paid per hour, it's not $5.90. How do you get them though to say yes to what you think you're worth, which based on your numbers might not exactly be something where they want to step up and pay you? How do you think about that?
Okay, so I think that you kind of have a base rate when you get started. And I think that the best tip I could give anyone is don't underprice yourself. So let's say that we'll just start with 50,000 page views. Let's say you have 50,000 page, and we're only using page views here as a kind of a metric to determine pricing. And there's other things that can affect, for example, if you have 50,000 page views, but you have a huge Instagram following or a huge Facebook following, that would affect so I'm just going to take this in isolation as if I'm a blogger with only 50,000 page views and my other social media is very small. Okay. Because there's so many things that go in, and we could have a full-on podcast on just how to price yourself correctly. Yeah. So let's say you have 50,000 page views and you think, oh my gosh, I want to come in. I think I should probably do it for $100. And I would be like, no, you should never do anything for $100, because $100 or even $250, that communicates to me that you're not valuing yourself. So I would say, I would start probably, they say that you're supposed to do, for every 10,000 page views, you do $100, okay? Which you can quickly price yourself out of the market at that. Let's say you have 600,000 page views and now you're, I don't know, that's a lot of money. I have no idea. But
yes, that'd be $6,000. Yes. Okay.
But I'm just saying, I think that, so I would probably start, if I was in that pay range, I would probably start about $500. And then, at about, probably at about 100,000, I would go to about 1,000 page views. Now you can always upsell for different.
What you mean you'd go to $1,000 for 1,000 page views?
Yes,
I mean, 100,000 page views.
For 100,000 page views, I go to 1,000, which is pretty much sticking with the for every 1,000 page views what is it? For every 10,000 page views you have,
$100.
You choose to charge $100.
Got it.
I think that's a good metric to stick within.
Yep.
That being said, a lot of times that can be your base rate. Now you can upsell, so for example, let's say you have a huge Instagram following. Well, then you would need to take that into account and you can almost treat the Instagram negotiation a little bit separately. Like, by the way, if you want me to do an Instagram shout out, that would be X amount of dollars. Or if you want me to do an Instagram story, it'd be X amount of dollars. So that's your base, and you can build there depending on what social media you add in.
Sorry, I was going to say what we do for Catch My Party is we give you hey, we'll split it up like that. But then we'll say, oh, but if you want all of this, look at the deal you're getting.
Yes.
So it's 100%. Oh my God, I could throw in I could do a one-off Instagram, or if I do a blog post and an Instagram and a Pinterest pin and a story and whatever, it's whoa, what value.
Yes. And I also think too, don't underestimate the power of high-res photos either. I mean, you want to make sure that you negotiate those assets in and make sure that have all that written into your contract, because a lot of times what happens is the brand sees what you're doing and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to use this in an advertisement or something. So make sure you have all of that built into your contract.
How much do you charge, would you say, for high-res photos? And then they can use them in perpetuity?
No, I don't use them in perpetuity, probably. Very rarely. I typically do a one-use. I give them kind of the rights to a one-time use for them to use on their social or whatever. And I negotiate so if they come back to me 6 months later and go, oh, by the way, now we're doing a magazine campaign. No, you don't get the same, because that's a whole different animal than social. So I tend to negotiate based on, but I charge $250 for one high-res photo. What I charge. But that's to use on your social in conjunction with this campaign, not just
randomly.
Wherever.
Okay. Yep. So again, you kind of piece it out, and people should piece it out, figure out where. This is the other thing that I recommend, which is lead with your best metrics.
Yes.
Lead. You don't have to tell them how many Twitter followers you have. No. And another thing too, now this is another way that I work with brands, is I help them with marketing. So because I've worked with some brands for so long, I approached them and said, hey, listen, let me help you put together your marketing campaign for 2020 or 2019. And I charge them a fee to be able to do that, because I feel like I'm bringing my expertise. And when you have a blogger on board, a blogger is because brands have no idea of our world. It's kind of like we don't know anything about their world, and we don't know. That's why you have to ask the brand what metrics are important to you, because you don't know their world. You're not living in their world. You have no idea. But they don't know the blogger world either. They don't know, especially if they're just starting out and they have no idea how to work with bloggers. The information that you can bring to the table is valuable, but you shouldn't just give that away. So when you then work with a brand as, let's say, a marketing ambassador, and you're saying, I'm going to give you the prism, you're going to get to look through my eyes and see how I see your brand and how the world of bloggers sees your brand. Are you pitching them story ideas? Are you pitching them post ideas? Are you pitching them trends? What does that mean?
Typically I do two things. I pitch them new social that they sometimes don't know about, or new ways that, like when IGTV came on, that things that they might not be aware of that are new in all of the social, or the fact that Pinterest now basically is not it's not really a social media anymore as much as it is just a search engine.
Exactly. Yep.
And they might not take that into account. They might approach Pinterest differently. So things in the marketplace shift very rapidly. And because we're bloggers, we have our fingers on the pulse of everything. And so I communicate that knowledge just on basic changes in social. And the other thing is I don't pitch them individual story ideas, but I do pitch them campaign ideas, overall campaigns that I think based on what the marketplace is and clever ways of incorporating social into that campaign, and clever ways of really putting their brand at the forefront of that campaign and figuring out, oh, hey, bloggers, have you thought about bloggers working like this with you? Or have you thought about this? And a lot of times it's very clever out of the box stuff that they might not have thought of before.
And then don't they want to hire you then?
As a blogger?
Yes.
Well,
like, I mean, you're pitching them this cool idea, like as an expert. And then you're like, okay, guys, like I'm ready, you know? So
yes,
you get that double, like what a great way.
Yes. So it's a great way to get your foot in front of the brand. I mean, your face in front of the brand, but it's also a great way to help them. So you're providing a service to them. And I do it from a place of respect. I mean, I'm not doing this just because I'm getting paid. I'm doing this because I believe in the brand. And I feel like I know from my perspective or what I see that's going on in the marketplace right now, I see the easiest way to be of help to them. And I think they understand that and they value that. And so we've had a lot of really successful campaigns that I've helped to put together.
That's amazing. Again, like what a way also then to create a job for yourself. Like you become indispensable because you're then the go-to person for trends, for what this whole other world looks like. That is, sending them those targeted customers. I mean, that's just so brilliant. Again, I love that you take that step back and I love that you look at the landscape and you go, how can I be of service? And then benefit yourself as well. Like that, what a great way to do that win-win.
Yes, for sure. And then it's a win-win for everyone.
Which is what I love. Oh my God, Carrie Ann, we could talk forever. Okay, before we go, I want to just talk a little bit because before we started recording, you mentioned how MiloTree is helping grow your Instagram. And so I said, oh my God, would you talk about this? Just because honestly, you made my day talking about it. So
okay, so this is completely unsolicited. Jillian did not ask me. This is just us chatting as friends. And she had, when we were at the blogger retreat, she had mentioned, oh, have y'all tried this? And I said, oh, I've heard of it, but I haven't really tried it. I said, let me try it and let me just see kind of if I think it works, what's going on. And I mean, even if I did not know Jillian, like y'all podcast listeners, just act like Jillian is not even here. I'm telling you, like face to face, like blogger ear to ear, I guess your voice to ear, whatever. It is absolutely amazing. I personally have gained over 2,000 Instagram followers it's been a month since we've been at that retreat?
I think so. I think even less than a month.
Maybe less than a month. But I personally have, and it is, so I'm not just telling you this like because Jillian's on the podcast. I'm telling you this like blogger, like I want to help you. Like I was like, oh my gosh, Jillian, this is like a game changer. And especially with so many more brands concentrating on Instagram. Now you don't have to I chose Instagram because that's my platform, but you could also grow your email list or you could grow your Pinterest or whatever, whatever your it is, you could easily grow it. But me as a personal testimonial, just a random blogger that really kind of knew Jillian, but really didn't know that much about MiloTree and started using it. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's my new best friend.
Oh,
and
I love
I've told so many people about it and they've had great results too. So I told her, I'm getting all these people to sign up just because when it works, I mean, you've got to share it with your friends,
Totally. Especially because Instagram right now is hard to grow.
Yes, it is.
It used to be easier. And
it's very challenging, I think, right now. And so I think that was I've just really kind of put the pedal to the metal and tried to grow it. And I think MiloTree is a huge part of that success.
Oh my God. Well, Carrie Ann, thank you. Now, okay, so let everybody know how they can reach out to you, how they can see what you're doing, all of that stuff.
Okay, so you can follow me, of course, on my blog, thistlewoodfarms.com.
And we'll have links to all of this so you can see. And Carrie Ann does beautiful things. Like before we press play or record, I'm getting her advice on home decor. I'm like, okay, but what about my accent wall? So she is truly like and I want to give the advice that you just gave me, which is go do it. Like go paint that accent wall. Because if you don't like it, it, you can always repaint it. And I just felt so free when you said that to me. So definitely, and read Karianne's blog, because she is, while you are a DIY blogger, interior design, you are a storyteller first. And her stories are so touching and funny, and you have such a vim and verve about you. So definitely go read her, like read your blog, not just go look at the pretty pictures.
Well, you are too kind. And of course, they can always follow me on Instagram.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Great. So if people have questions about working with brands, you know, can they come?
Yes. Email me. We'll put my email on here. I mean, I pay it forward all the time. So if y'all have any individual questions or there's anything, I speak all over the country on this. And I actually just have 2 emails in my inbox from someone where I spoke a while back, and I'm happy to answer any questions about blogging or working with brands or anything. It's my passion. And if I can do anything to help anyone that's listening, I would be more than happy to.
And join her email list, because I think that what you do is really special in your connection with your audience, in how you're kind of sharing your content, and that you send 5 emails a week. So definitely join her email list to see.
So much fun.
Oh my God. All right. So we're going to do another one, by the way, because we have a whole other thing about affiliates that I want to talk about, but I don't want to mix it up with this. So would you come back and talk about affiliates?
You say the word. I'm here.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
You have the best audience. You have the best audience.
Oh, well, Karianne, honestly, thank you so much for part 2, and we're going to do part 3.
Thanks. See y'all later. Bye.
I hope you guys liked that episode. For me, my biggest takeaway is how Karianne thinks about the brand first, how she thinks about how to give them what they want, that it's not about her, it's really about how she can help them. Now, before I go, I want to remind you to head over to Facebook and join my Facebook group, the MiloTree Mastermind group, and also to email me any technical blogging questions you have. And I will share them with David, and then we will go into a Facebook Live and answer those questions. So please to send those your questions to Jillian at milotree.com, and I will be here again next week.